Flex your business with an American Express Business Gold Card. You'll earn 4 times membership rewards points on your top 2 eligible spending categories, like transit and electronics, each month, on up to $150K in combined purchases per year. Plus, you can now earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at AmericanExpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold, built for business by American Express.
Since you're new to H&R Block, we'll look at your returns from the last 3 years for any money your last guy might have missed for free.
I could get money back from last year?
You could. We'll find any mistakes.
Could have really used that 2 years ago when I dated that mistake for 5 months.
Don't leave money on the table. Switch to H&R Block and get a free second look review. Second look is included at no additional cost with the purchase of tax preparation. Results vary. All tax situations are different. Fees apply if you have us file an amended return.
Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Keep Watch Pass on the It's Not That Bad podcast channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. You know, they say that third time's the charm, and as much as I love a cliche, it's not always the case, especially when you're dealing with trilogies or movies that are larger than a trilogy, and the third movie either is great or is not. We're looking at third movies in a series, and here to join me, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very, very good. I was trying to think of some way to introduce you, and it just wasn't coming. So,
well, at least you didn't say like my third love, you know, like books and then movies.
Books, beer, and babe. That not in that order.
Oh my God.
Not in that order.
I'm the third B. Hi, it's me. I'm the third B. I'm the B in apartment 23.
Oh, God, there we go. Can we just talk about that show now? Because that is one of the best sitcoms of like the last 20 years. I love that show.
Okay, but that's not what we're here for.
No, it's not what we're here for. We're about to talk about the third film in a series. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to pick 3, I get it, 3 movies each. A keep, a watch, and a pass. Our keep is the one that, even though it's number 3 in the series, it's number 1 in our hearts. For our watch film, it will be one that, you know what, even though it's the third, it may not be the best of this bunch, we'd still watch it anytime. And our pass film is the one that we'd pass on the third. We might even pass on the second. We might even pass on the first, depending on the franchise we're talking about. Remains to be seen. So, Carrie, why don't you get our 3-ball running here? What's your keep third movie pick?
I am keeping and watching every chance I get Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Oh, I love that film.
Yeah. I also love, too, that it is indeed the third of our character there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, for those of you sitting there going, wait, whoa, there was only Desperado, and then there was Once Upon a Time in Mexico. No.
El Mariachi.
El Mariachi, and then Desperado, and then Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I love this film. I absolutely do. I love everything about it. You know, Johnny Depp was great in it. Freaking Antonio Banderas.
Mm-hmm.
So I would watch that. There was a stretch shortly after we got the DVD of that film where we watched that like ad nauseum. That was one of those like, well, what we're going to do tonight? I don't know. Let's put on Once Upon a Time in Mexico. That seemed to be like the go-to response for what are we going to do tonight?
I still giggle when I think that I have it on PSP.
No, yes, because you have the UMD, for the PSP.
Oh. That's a lot of letters coming at you.
That is a lot of letters. And each time they're 3 letters. Yeah. I'm just saying, you know. But yeah, no, I don't know why this movie doesn't exactly get the love that Desperado and El Mariachi get. I understand. Third trip down the well, okay, not a problem. But I mean, personally, this is actually my favorite of the 3.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I mean, Desperado was good.
Right.
But this one just had some, like, almost like a newness to it.
Yeah.
It's like it was trying to, I don't know, modernize it or just make it bigger.
You know what? I'm surprised. If you go back to like early on in the podcast, we did an episode on movies starring an actual singer. I'm surprised neither of us picked this film because in it is one Mr. Enrique Iglesias. So we could have picked this. The problem, though, is that we cannot talk about this film and It's Not That Bad because rightfully so, it does not qualify, sitting at 66% on the tomatometer scale. So,
how about the other two? El Mariachi might.
Oh no, they don't.
No?
They don't qualify.
No, so
No.
good. Okay.
They are so good.
Okay.
I know you're going to agree with me with my keep pick here, and I didn't want to be Captain Obvious. I didn't want to be that guy who was like, picking a comic book movie or a Star Wars movie. I actually try to keep my picks away from those because at this point, we've done enough of these episodes that people are like, oh, he's going to talk about Star Wars again. Nope, not today. I'm going to talk about a film that should have been the end of that series, but instead there was another film that came after it. And if I remember correctly, there's another one that's coming too, but it should have ended with Toy Story 3.
You know what? I looked at that and then I was like, I can't.
I did.
Yeah.
And it's my keep pick.
I love that.
This was the perfect way to end the story, right? Because these are Andy's toys, right? And Andy's grown up now and they find a way to break out of the house and not be sold off, and they go to the daycare, and the madcap adventures ensue. And don't forget, we have Factory Reset Buzz Lightyear in this. I love this film. It's everything you want out of a Toy Story film, but it boils down to the end. Okay, because even though yes, it's a Buzz film and it's a Woody film and it's all the other toys, it's Andy's story, and you get this moment at the end where he sees the toys. This little girl, and he gets one last playtime with the toys, and he gives them all to this little girl, and he wails away. And that should, if you had ended the series there and never did another Toy Story film, I would argue that Toy Story may be the best movie series, or at least one of the best movie series of all time for consistency.
Okay, but I love how Bonnie loves the toys just as much as Andy did, and just as much as Jessie was loved back in the day. Like, it gives the toys a new life, and I think they really deserve that. And it opens for new characters like Forky.
Really? You're justifying this with Forky?
And, well, that psycho porcelain doll, I forget her name, and the one that looked like Slappy from Goosebumps.
You're really drawing straws here,
Yeah.
but hear me out on this one, okay? Toy Story 3 has a tomatometer of 98%.
What the hell is wrong with the other 2% critics?
Right? This is where you should have ended.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, Toy Story 4 also has a 97% tomatometer.
I think it's because you truly can't hate on these movies. They are, you know what? I don't know. Maybe it's just me, maybe seeing our kids like play with whatever the it toy is, and then it gets to sit on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of gives almost like a voice to those toys, and kind of makes you think like, well, maybe I'll pick the toy up and just kind of,
But I mean,
give it one more go, one more playtime.
Here's the thing. At 97% for Toy Story 4, it's actually the fourth lowest of the cinematic releases, because Toy Story 3, as mentioned, 98%. Toy Story 1 and 2 sit at a 100% tomatometer. Like, that's unheard of, to have the first and the second film sitting at 100%. Like, I don't know if there's any other franchise out there that has that kind of that kind of perfection. Terminator 2, Judgment Day, actually sits at 91%. But the first Terminator is at 100. So it's close, but then Terminator totally went downhill afterwards. But that's for another day. That's for another day. But no, like personally, if you'd finished Toy Story at Toy Story 3, you could have hung your hat and just like called it a day. And that would have been perfect for me.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
For my watch film, I'm going to New York City to hang out with one Mr. John McClane. Die Hard with a Vengeance, the first non-Christmas Die Hard film. Because really, I mean, yes, we know Die Hard is one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time. Die Hard 2 also happened at Christmas. Die Hard 3, middle of summer in New York, running around the city with a really pissed off Samuel L. Jackson.
In a cab in the city
Yeah.
in the summer in New York City. It's got to be hot.
But here was the interesting thing about Die Hard with a Vengeance, right? So Die Hard 1, of course, we all know, those terrorists attacking Nakatomi Plaza, and, he takes them out one by one in a very John McClane kind of way. And then Die Hard 2, he's at the airport, and there's this, terrorist team that's attacking the airport, right? And he takes them out one at a time. Die Hard 3 is very different. Die Hard with a Vengeance it's the first time they really kind of step out of that world, right? And John McClane is, the mouse in the trap, right? Jeremy Irons as the brother of Hans Gruber, sending him on these, basically scavenger hunts to find bombs around New York. Meanwhile, it's a distraction so they can pull off this heist, right? This is, by the way, if you haven't seen Die Hard with a Vengeance, I'm so sorry I just spoiled the entire plot for you. But it's, how long has it been out now? You had your chance. Go watch the damn film. But the other thing, too, is that unlike Die Hard films that came after this is John McClane is still a very human cop, right? He's not Superman. He's not going to take this isn't a Dwayne Johnson role. This is what Bruce Willis did perfectly. Give us a very real human faulted person who's still the hero. And put him beside Samuel L. Jackson, who's just going to be cursing all day. It was pitch perfect casting.
Well, if you were stuck in traffic in the dead of summer in New York City, you'd be cursing all day too.
Dear listeners in New York City, how the hell do you drive around in that town? Like, I've done it once. Never again. Well, I probably will do it again. But still, regardless, I don't know how you guys do it. I tried to drive a van in New York City, and I'm surprised I didn't take out 17 people. You guys are some special kind of drivers there.
We don't talk about the first 15, so.
Exactly, right? I said almost took out 17. I didn't say how many I did take out. No. Carrie, your watch pick.
It's funny. Earlier you mentioned that you were straying away from the obvious picks, the Star Wars. And
you're going to be Captain Obvious.
I'm here to, I'm here to draw back to a favorite. I love me an Avengers movie.
The film I thought you were going to pick.
I know. I set it up pretty nice. I'm going with Infinity War.
Arguably the greatest superhero film of all time. Right?
So an obvious pick, yeah.
Yeah, no, obvious for me. I'm sitting there going, how soon is she going to say The Prisoner of Azkaban?
Because I could have.
You could have. You absolutely could have, and that should have been your key pick. But no, you did something different. I
did my research.
You did a Die Hard with a Vengeance with this. You went to a different direction. Ooh, I like this. This is good. But no,
right?
like Infinity War is I would argue the greatest superhero film of all time. It's going to go head to head with something like The Dark Knight. That is, you would be hard pressed to find anyone at fault with you if they said either of those two films were the greatest superhero films of all time. Infinity War was the only time I remember walking in, the movie ends, and Thanos is sitting there and
snap.
Yeah, like then the credits roll, right? He just sits down and breathes in, and the credits roll, and you're like, they lost. They lost. What just happened?
That wasn't supposed to happen.
No, and you sit there and you're like, that is the most gut punch ending to a superhero film you have ever seen, and you may ever seen.
You know what though? I'm not gonna lie. I also really like The Age of Ultron.
I know you do.
That's my go-to. I always go back to that. So
I don't hate any Avengers film.
No, I'm just an Avengers fan.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying every MCU film is great. There are one or two that I would absolutely skip. Sorry, pass, because that's this show. Spin, Shuffle, Skip is the music one. But still, regardless of the Avengers film, the tentpole films, and it's been a while since we had one, but the tentpole films always bring the best out. So I am looking forward to Avengers Doomsday, and I'm looking forward to Avengers Secret Wars.
I am curious though, when you say an Avengers film that you would pass, is it Avengers proper, or is it one of the
No, I mean an MCU
shoots of like Iron Man or the Hulk?
Actually, I can tell you right now, I would so skip Thor: The Dark World. It bores me.
Oh dear.
It does. And it is, I'm not going to say that there's an episode that I am saving that film for, but there's an episode that I'm saving that film for.
Oh.
Right.
Okay, so now, you're not going to say it.
I'm not going to say it yet. I'm not going to say that episode yet. No, I'm not going to. I didn't tell you what episode it's going to be on.
Okay.
And people are sitting there going, well, wait, it doesn't qualify for it's not that bad. No, but dun, dun, dun. But speaking of past films, what is your past film?
Okay, so I say this with a disclaimer. Okay. It's not with any disrespect intended to the movie.
Okay.
Or the director.
Okay.
Or the cast.
Okay.
It's just that I don't like to watch things that make me cry.
Oh, no.
And Clerks 3 was so hard to watch.
I get that.
You know what? I get it. And I love that. I love that it spoke to the audience on so many levels. But I'm sorry. The minute that you off Rosario Dawson, I can't. I just can't. It was hard to watch.
Yeah.
And you know, the riff between Dante and Randall, like,
and Dante's just utter trauma of trying to get over Rosario Dawson's passing in that film. Like it's, and the moment where he's sitting there and he finally gets to sit and talk to her, or at least like his thought of her, like this.
It's sad.
It's a very real film, and I know it comes from a place of, you know, that moment where Kevin Smith had a heart attack, right? And it's you know, it comes from a very raw emotional place,
very introspective. But it just, I sobbed like pretty much. If it's a 2-hour movie, I'd say like halfway. I was crying for like an hour. It was just so sad.
I hate to say, but that may actually.
It's a good thing.
In making this film your past, you may actually be giving it the ultimate compliment because it did its job and did its job well.
1000%. And that's where I say it's nothing against this movie. I absolutely loved it. It affected me so much. So yeah, it was successful in the attempt of like eliciting strong emotions, but it was just too much. It was too real. It was such a diversion from when you think of a Kevin Smith movie. I wanted dick and fart jokes.
Yeah.
And I got like...
You got some.
Well, okay, but even at that, like, And the only criticism that I'll say is I really think they kind of went too far with like the whole Buddy Christ or the whole like
Elias
religion.
Yeah, Elias was a little too much Elias. See, I think they had the perfect amount of Elias in Clerks 2, but they kind of overkilled it. And I get that they had to set it up because spoilers like a mofo here. If you have not watched Clerks 3, please step away from the headphones. So when Dante actually passes away, right, you have to set up that Elias becomes the best friend that Randall needs, even though they don't necessarily get along. But, you know, that kind of mimicked the relationship that Dante and Randall had to begin with. They would argue, but they argue because they actually like each other's company, right? It's just that they made Elias a bit of a goofball in Clerks 3. And I understand, though, that you also need some kind of comedic moment. You need something to take a little bit of this of the sting out of the emotions that they're going to make you feel. So, in that sense, Kevin Smith smartly did what they did with Elias, but it was a touch much. I do get that, but yeah, no, it's a very raw emotion behind the film, and I think it's the only way that you can get a very serious subject matter into a, you know, for lack of a better term, Jersey era film for Kevin Smith. I feel like I'm going to piss off some people with my pick here for my pass, because I'm talking about a beloved franchise with beloved actors. And it's not that it was necessarily a bad film. It was definitely the worst of the three. And I kind of wish they never made it, because the second film in the series was the perfect way to end this series. You did not need to, you didn't need to film two films at the same time, so you had a big long film over two parts. So when I say Back to the Future 3 is my pass pick, I say that because Back to the Future 2 was so ridiculously good, better than the original.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need to see them go to the Wild West. I didn't want to see that. I wanted it to end. They go to the future and they come back to the regular time and everything's messed up because of Gray's Sports Almanac. And then, they fix everything and then boom, we're good. I don't want to go to the Wild West with them. I want a DeLorean in the Wild West. No. Will Smith proved we don't want to go to the Wild West. The Wild Wild West.
But at the time, it's like, what was it with the West? Like Western, it was.
Oh, Westerns have always been a thing, though. I mean,
they've always been a thing.
They did take a little bit of a break, but and I get it. If you have a time travel film, of course you're going to go to the Wild West at some point, kind of thing, right? But
everyone loves a good gun battle.
Yeah, exactly. Back to the Future 2 was so good, though. But the thing is, they shot both of these films at the same time. So when you got to the end of Back to the Future 2, they teased Back to the Future 3 because they had footage, because they shot it all at the same time. This was really cool. Now it's become commonplace, right? You're filming both films at the same time. You're going to release one. And while that's, out there and making money, you're finishing up your shooting and you're in post-production for the second one. Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, Deathly Hallows, Infinity War and Endgame. You have that ability to do that. This is the film that kind of set that tone and showed what you could do. And when I say that Back to the Future 3 is a bad film, at least my least favorite of it, I'm putting that because the first two were so good, right? Back to the Future on a bad day is still better than some time travel films on its best day. So you take it with a grain of salt, but Back to the Future 3, if I bought the box set, I would probably burn through the discs of 1 and 2 and use 3 as a coaster. Maybe not that much.
It's harsh.
It is harsh, but it definitely wouldn't. It
just wouldn't be taken out of the case.
Yeah, I wouldn't wear out the disc like I would the other two. All right, Carrie, thank you so much for this. Now, please remind our listeners what your keep, watch, and pass picks are for third movies in a series.
My keep is Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I'm watching Avengers Infinity War, and I'm sadly passing on the sadness that is Clerks 3.
Because it is too good.
Because it's too sad.
Yeah, exactly. It did too well its job.
Exactly.
Yeah. For me, I am keeping Toy Story 3. I am watching Die Hard with a Vengeance. And I am passing on Back to the Future 3. Gary, thank you so much. And to you, our listeners, well, you guys know the drill. If there's a topic that you want us to cover on Keep Watch Pass or a movie that you want us to cover on It's Not That Bad, hit us up on social media at Not That Badcast or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you check out our merch store, because this is one of the ways that if you love what you hear, you can help support the show and help us keep going. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is Keep Watch Pass on the It's Not That Bad podcast channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.
Hey, this is John Moses and Tyler Morrison from the Fight Stories podcast.
And we want to welcome everyone from Pantheon to check out the podcast that goes from pros to average Joes.
We got MMA champs, boxing champs, NHL tough guys, funniest comedians in the world, and of course, stories from guys like your drunk Uncle Tommy on Thanksgiving.
That's right, because we're the voice of the streets, and we want to hear from you guys, because what's better than hanging out with your crew and reliving the old glory days?
Stories like Rigby, who put that guy's head through a popcorn machine in front of his 5- and 6-year-old son eating chicken wings at the bar.
It doesn't get any better than that. Everyone has a fight story. We want to hear yours.